Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it in what I can only explain as lightly dystopian news. A lot of the companies who are dealing with Bitcoin ETFs have tried in like a public gesture to become more public. They're trying to be, and I air quote here, more transparent and trying to show people that they're also like big players within the cryptocurrency space. And a number of companies have started to release information about not only how much Bitcoin they have, which we already knew and have been hearing numbers about for the last couple of weeks, but also their public addresses. And when I say dystopian, it's because these are already multi-hundreds of billions of dollar companies. And also some of them are trillion-dollar companies. But with the advent of showing people their public addresses, they've begun to receive a large number of donations. Bitwise, an asset management firm, recently made their Bitcoin exchange-traded fund wallet address public, becoming the first among the 10 spot Bitcoin ETF issuers to do so. We already have figured out some of the other addresses, or rather the on-chain analytics companies have shared them a couple of days ago. Since their public release of the Bitwise address, the wallet address has received numerous donations, including Bitcoin, Bitcoin ordinals, and also rare Satoshis. For those of you who missed that, you now have NFTs on Bitcoin and also like similar in the same group, but not really. People have been, finding Satoshis, like the smallest unit of a Bitcoin, back from when Satoshi Nakamoto was mining Bitcoin. And some of these are selling for huge amounts of money. We had news about 4 days ago, somewhere around there. Sotheby's, one of the largest auction houses in general, I think, on the planet. There's like two main big ones, Sotheby's and Christie's. They sold a rare Satoshi for, it was like $15,000, like one single Satoshi, just because of how rare it is. The wallet of Bitwise currently has a number of NFT donations. They say worth around $6,000. And apparently people have sent them, Bitwise, 16,000 total inscriptions. These inscriptions encompass various items such as RSIC, a Bitcoin punk, a Bitcoin burial, one quad key, and numerous other inscriptions. Right, so just throwing this out there in case anyone was wondering, I also have a Bitcoin address below. I am always accepting donations. I would love some ordinals if you have some, just because, people are quite creative with what they create. Quite popular news because we now are learning their addresses, and I guess this is where we are as a cryptocurrency community. Where was that other thing? This was about a year or two ago. There was some other, rich, very wealthy person in the cryptocurrency space. They announced what their Bitcoin address was, and I think they received like 3 or 4 Bitcoin, I'm always full of questions. So if anyone's feeling generous, you know what to do. That's the, we now know their Bitcoin wallet addresses news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in popular news, BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust has recently acquired a substantial amount of Bitcoin from Coinbase. This is the first time that we're actually getting news like this. According to a tweet from Look On Chain, the trust received 6,495 Bitcoin valued at approximately $254 million US dollars from Coinbase Prime just 7 hours ago. The acquisition has increased the total Bitcoin holdings of BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust to 39,925 Bitcoin, amounting to over $1.59 billion at the time of me making this video. For those of you who missed it, we've had news over the course of the last couple of days as to the amount of Bitcoin being held by these companies who now have spot Bitcoin ETFs. And the numbers that was originally quoted to us was 60,000 Bitcoin. And then that became 95,000 Bitcoin. And as far as we've been told, these few companies who actually have a Bitcoin spot ETF within the USA are now holding over 100,000 Bitcoin amongst themselves. Grayscale, a significant player in the field, has experienced a remarkable outflow of funds. This has also been in the news as well, just in case you've missed it in some sort of way. Grayscale has been the reason why the cryptocurrency market is falling, is not as high as it was at the beginning of January. As reported by, that's a name, his name is James Butterfill. It's literally butter and then F-I-L-L, James Butterfill. Grayscale saw outflows amounting to around $505 million yesterday, though this was partially mitigated by the inflows into newer ETFs, totaling around $396 million. You might have noticed as well over the last couple of days, we're seeing like different movements within the cryptocurrency market. The dips are not as dramatic as they were before, as we are now seeing, and I guess people are doing the math. We're now seeing that as Grayscale continues to sell, their selling is slowing down. I told you before, they cannot sell forever. There is a number of Bitcoin that they have. It won't go to zero. Investors some will stay with them, and also people will just simply not sell off their coins. And on the other flip side, in what should be popular news every single day, the Bitcoin ETFs are doing exceedingly well. Like, not good, not okay, not that there's interest. They're doing amazingly well. We actually completely overtook the entire silver ETF market in a number of days. Think about that. Think of how big and well-known silver is. Bitcoin ETFs, there are only, I think, 9 or 10 of them. I don't remember. Regardless of what the exact number is, it overtook the entirety of the silver ETF market. There was also news a couple days ago as well from someone on Twitter. They were going through the numbers. I think last year there were 500 new ETFs that were created across multiple different sectors. And Bitcoin ETFs alone, I think, outshined them by like 20 to 1 or something like that. We have like 80% of the entire market of brand new ETFs, and the other ones look like almost they're dealing with pennies almost comparative to what Bitcoin ETFs are doing. And that's while the market is down, and that's before we actually move up into a brand new all-time high and before we have the actual halving. So a lot of the news, as you might have mentioned or seen, is revolving mainly around the idea of Bitcoin's price falling, Bitcoin's price not being as high as it was or as high as people were expecting it to be. But then on the other side, I have to dig deep to find any type of news about how much Bitcoin these companies now have. Imagine if we had heard at any other point in history that multiple companies had accumulated 100,000 Bitcoin in 12, 13 days. The market would have skyrocketed, but everything has kind of remained with a light negative tone. And of course, I think that's on purpose to be able to make sure that people don't have too much optimism for the market while we hear about all these rich people who are accumulating. Yeah. So at the time of me making this video, BlackRock now has 39,925 Bitcoin just within their ETF. That's not also what they're accumulating behind the scenes. If you think they're not accumulating, I can't help you. I literally have no idea what to tell you. That's the outflow inflow news. And yeah, let's move on. I don't know why I said it that way. Also, and this is different. This is actual different news. And I was like, okay, all right. Doom, DOOM, the popular, very popular FPS game, first released in 1993, geez Louise, is now available on the Dogecoin network. Yeah, an entire video game is available on the Dogecoin network, thanks to a relatively new protocol that lets developers stash large amounts of data onto a blockchain. I wouldn't say large amounts of data. This thing must be like 15 megabytes in total, in completion total. Someone tweeted, D is for Dogecoins. What? D is for Doom on Dogecoin. Developer Mini Doge Art, who put the game on Dogecoin, posted at launch. Now inscribed on Dogecoin's blockchain forever. Dogecoin, I believe, similar to Litecoin, is a, what's the term? Code source? I think code source fork. I think that's what it is of Bitcoin. Numbers were changed. They were completely changed from the 21 million. There's billions of Dogecoin. The issuance rate is also completely out of whack. But in essence, what happens on Bitcoin can also, in theory, happen on Dogecoin. And this is why we heard, a while ago, but it has not been in the news since. I think Litecoin also has NFTs, but no one's really using them. It hasn't taken off. And this is the first that I've ever heard of Dogecoins. I'm going to say Dogecoins because it's spelled Dogecoins. As far as I assume these are etched in things onto the blockchain, similar to the Bitcoin ordinals. This means the game deployment on Dogecoins, okay, fetches all of its gaming data entirely from the data stored on the Dogecoin network. It does not rely on any other sources outside of the network. This was something that was popular a long time ago, and we don't really hear about this anymore. Even before the idea of ordinals or NFTs, it was simply writing stuff on chain. Years ago, years and years and years ago, this was used as something against us. Because what was happening was, allegedly, people were putting certain content onto Bitcoin that is, I'll let you use your imagination. And because it was literally etched into the blockchain forever, a number of politicians were saying, well, what if the wrong person sees it? Or what if this happens? And people were just writing poems and stuff. And they were just simply having it there. Like the idea of selling them was kind of not in the mindset. It was more of a, if you can write something on the chain forever, if you think of the idea of the longevity of these chains, these will literally be here longer than any of us can't even imagine. It's kind of wild to think about. So in 100 years, people will be able to see the date and the time that this game was etched into the blockchain, and you'll be able to play it essentially forever on chain. So that part is kind of cool. We don't really hear about people just simply doing it anymore. I think people found something that is believed to be written by Satoshi also in the blockchain. There's also people can see that there are other things on upcoming dates, which is also even weirder. And future dates that are also written on chain, but I think people can't access it until we actually get to that block, or that block has been mined, or whatever the actual case might be. Doom was among the first computer games that went viral in the 1990s. It was deployed on Dogecoins on its 30th anniversary, as per Mini Doge Art. The version is a so-called shareware, which contains 9 levels of the game that can be published without the possibility of any legal issues. That was also going to be one of my questions there, being how did they get permission for this? So the first 9 levels are actually there. Yeah, this is actually cool news. This is something, and I wouldn't say a use case per se, but to be able to literally make sure that this game will be available forever on this chain is incredibly kind of cool. And I wish we saw more things like that. I think a lot of people the discussion years ago was how to get people to these chains, and people tried to make a number of video games, and a lot of the video games were interesting, is what I'll say. But something like this I find actually kind of cool. I haven't played this myself, but I think I'll look it up after this video to see if I can actually play the game myself, because it seems kind of fun. Anyway, yeah, Dogecoin now has a proper video game on it that is very well known, made lightly popular news. And yeah, let's move on. Okay, sure, why not? On the 24th of January, Binance conducted surveys in France, Spain, Italy, and Sweden to explore the habits of European crypto users. The initiative provides an in-depth examination of the preferences and behaviors of the European crypto community. According to the survey's findings, a noteworthy trend has emerged, indicating that apparently 73% of respondents express optimism regarding the future of cryptocurrencies, as per information shared with Finbold. I wonder what the other 27% think or how they feel, because a lot of times I've noticed, even sometimes when prices are going up and I'm feeling quite dandy, I message my other friends sometimes. We talk about the market, and I notice that like their enthusiasm of the market might have slightly changed, or even like the long-term prospectus of a lot of this market doesn't seem to really stick with a lot of people. A lot of people who've been in crypto for a while tend to sometimes have the mindset of like, well, 2 more years left, and then like they kind of leave the market. But I've also noticed the trend of them coming back to the market when they notice that after 2 years it hasn't disappeared. That was the mindset of a lot of people back in, I want to say April, May 2020, when the markets had completely crashed. A lot of people, for some reason, thought that crypto was kind of done forever, but only got back into the market when Bitcoin hit like $50,000, $60,000. So, you know, that kind of isn't too nice. I always wonder like the mindset of a lot of people, but this sprawls across every single industry. It's not just crypto. It happens in the real estate market. Remember I showed you in the other channel that video where people were talking about like the housing crash and the stock market crash, and this is going to fall and this is going to collapse. People always have I don't want to say a negative mindset, but this idea that like things won't last forever, that people won't always need real estate. They won't always need a place to live. They won't always want a certain item or commodity, or I don't know. I always find it interesting, especially for people in crypto, people in real estate, but it's kind of like for stocks as well. People always have this kind of, it says anyway, additionally, 55% of participants exclusively engage with digital assets, showcasing a significant reliance on these financial instruments within the surveyed demographic. This was said by the CMO of Binance. Where are the words? There we go. We are delighted to see the high level of optimism amongst European crypto users, reflecting the growing interest in crypto and blockchain technologies. The growing use of crypto in everyday purchases and its diverse applications highlight the integration of digital assets into our lives. I don't really know. I mean, we've had some surveys like this before, like multiple times over the course of years. They were never around before, but now we have them all the time, where they talk about like people using crypto and how I feel like a lot of people are in the market. A lot of people are in the market as like a test kind of thing, because they want to make quick money, fast money, especially as the indicators are showing a bull run or a bull market within this space over the course of this year and next year. But actual usage of these coins, I've heard on podcasts that people are using them. Are any of you using your crypto? And I mean like not using it like trading, like are you buying things? Are you being paid in crypto? That was also a thing that people believed by now would be definitely a thing. What? Like by the year 2016, 2017, the idea was that by 2024, millions of people would be paid in crypto and using crypto nearly exclusively as a form of payment. I don't think we've gotten there yet. I think once Bitcoin goes over like a solid $1 million and is relatively stable, Like the movements per day or per week are like 2 to 3% in either direction. I don't know. Cool that people in Europe are optimistic about it. That's lovely to know. I'd rather optimism than people hating the market. But I wonder why the other 27% isn't too giddy. Maybe it has to do with prices going down. A lot of skepticism. Maybe we are still in the disbelief phase with everything that's been going on. That's the sure, why not Binance survey news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in very popular news, if this is confusing, I'm also there with you because I was reading it and I was like, okay. In a recent tweet, Ripple X shared the latest update on the XRP Ledger Ethereum virtual machine sidechain developed by blockchain technology firm Peersist. That's Peer and then SYST in collaboration with Ripple. In line with this, Ripple X delivered an update from Peersist which discusses the progress and upcoming news, highlighted stating that being closer than ever to the long-awaited Ethereum virtual machine sidechain for the XRP Ledger. And here's a tweet for it right here. So for those of you who don't know, one of the main things over the last couple of years has been the idea of other chains merging with Ethereum or being able to be compatible with Ethereum. This years ago, the idea was like a multi-cross chain platform for every single chain, especially by the year 2024, that they would all kind of initially be interoperable. A lot of that went out the window around 2017, 18, 19, where for some reason, everyone became hyper tribal just in their coins and in their projects. So the idea was no longer let's merge all the chains together. So you could choose your chain, you could choose your chain, you could choose your chain. And they would all work seamlessly and you can move things and items and what have you, assets between all of them. It kind of then became, I'm going to make my own chain even stronger. I'm going to make layer 2, layer 3, layer 17 solutions for my chain. But a lot of that also ended up breaking down as well or just didn't work out as well. 2018, 2019 was the advent of I'm the new Ethereum and I'm better than you and Ethereum won't be around by the year 2020, which also didn't work out if you hadn't noticed. Ethereum's still the number 2 coin. That morphed into every other previous chain who had at some point said that they were going to overtake Ethereum, be better than Ethereum, or be an Ethereum rival, announcing that they were going to be creating an EVM, an Ethereum virtual machine sidechain that would essentially allow another chain to be compatible with Ethereum. So it went from if you can't work with them, you got to join them kind of thing, but it's across multiple chains right now. And I've assumed that they were also waiting, some of them, for the bull run as well to release this kind of information, because this is also what we always tend to see. People don't release any kind of information over the course of a bear market because it just doesn't really benefit them in that sort of way. So now apparently we had news from the people from EOS. I think Tron also has an Ethereum virtual machine. Cardano is developing their EVM. I don't know if Solana has one, but I assume it's in production, because if your chain isn't if your chain isn't that big and you want developers to develop on it, you need to kind of, it's crazy how Ethereum has kind of like slugged along, literally like slowly moved along all these years. And now everyone is kind of bending to have to make an Ethereum virtual machine for their chain. Peersist Technology said the Ethereum virtual machine sidechain for the XRP Ledger, the sidechain is more advanced than ever. After the audit with Bishop Fox, a second one has been carried out with a recognized supplier that will be soon publish. Missing some letters there. The latest changes are being applied and a blockchain update has been ... And then they have some pretty colorful photos as well. This talks about that thing regarding the so-and-so Bishop Fox. The latest updates are being deployed and the Cosmos SDK has gotten a blockchain update. Validators will soon be able to vote on the upgrade, which will incorporate Cosmos version 0.47 and Ethereum's EIP 3855. In addition, a new version of the bridge is on its way, allowing users to automatically and dynamically, bridge any existing token on the Ethereum virtual machine sidechain to the XRP ledger. This would enable the Ethereum virtual machine sidechain to serve as a gateway and connection to the rest of the other Ethereum virtual machines, facilitating transactions and the use of all XRP ledger mainnet functionalities for all of these assets. I know it's very verbose and completely unnecessary, whoever wrote this article. The easiest way to explain it basically is, years ago, it was told to us in a simplified manner that if you wanted to use a quicker chain, but still basically wanted to deal in Ether or Ethereum assets within that ecosystem, i.e., I want to use Ethereum. However, the problem is that the transaction fees are $28 and they only have 15 transactions per second. You would, in essence, be able to use the XRP ledger instead, have a 1 cent fee using the XRP ledger, but still dealing in the value of Ether on top of XRP. That's kind of the easiest way to, you'd be able to do what you want, carry out all of your functions, do what you needed to do on the XRP ledger for 1 cent, the transaction fee. You'd be able to swap all your stuff and then send it back to Ethereum, or basically continue to exist on the XRP ledger and deal with the lower fees and the 5,000 transactions per second as opposed to the 15. So cool. Multiple chains have said that they are going to be doing this. A lot of them have already begun their rollout, but I can only assumption, as always, that as time ends up flowing on, we'll hear more better, cool, amazing news about all these things over the course of the next couple of months, because they want to make sure that they actually end up waiting before any of this actually becomes not public, but any major news ends up popping up. Cool. Fantastic. That's the tons of letters in Cosmos 4.70 EIP 3855 EVM. What are the other really weird letters that were here? There was something else. SDKs. Yes, all the little letters. Okay. That's the XRP Ethereum EVM news. And yeah, let's move on. In news that was, I think, presented lightly incorrectly. So we're going to go over it a little bit. A lot of people announced that another country had accepted Bitcoin as legal tender. And I think people kind of went in the wrong direction because no one really read the news or found out what was actually happening. In a notable development for the crypto sector, the Prospera economic zone in Honduras has officially embraced Bitcoin as a unit of account, allowing businesses and the public to set prices for goods and services in the cryptocurrency. The decision, announced by Jorge Colindres, the jurisdiction's tax commissioner of the Prospera Zede, the Zone for Employment and Economic Development, is expected to enhance financial freedom for individuals and businesses within the region. Colindres emphasized the importance of freedom and transactions within the region, stating in a Twitter post at Prospera Zede, "We believe in the right to financial freedom and monetary freedom. People should be free to carry out transactions, do their accounting, and report taxes in the currency of their free choice," end quote. Meanwhile, the crypto community has welcomed the move as it positions Prospera as a forward-thinking charter city, granting it significant autonomy, including its own private government and regulatory systems as well. That being said, while the recognition of Bitcoin is significant, Colindres clarified that residents could not pay their taxes in Bitcoin due to limitations of the government system and external regulatory challenges. Apparently, everything else is kind of a go. So you can price things in Bitcoin, you can pay for things in Bitcoin, you can have services in Bitcoin just within this area. I looked around because at first, my back. I looked around because initially all the news was Honduras is accepting Bitcoin as an official currency. Honduras is accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. And I was like, I feel like something else is definitely there. So it's an area of the country, Imagine like a city. No, it's literally a city, actually. Don't imagine it. It literally is a city that is near the water that has its own autonomy. So it's not the entirety of the country. Imagine like Miami, but like a portion of Miami is allowed to do all of these things. I looked around for images. This is kind of what it looks like, at least a portion of it, by the water. A lot of other things are renders as to what I think they think it's going to look like at some point in the future. And the idea is it's meant to just be an area, and I say this lightly, for the rich. I couldn't really put that any other way. A lot of times these things end up being created and they're kind of touted. Like, can we all just be honest? If for those of you looking and not looking at the screen, this looks like a very expensive house. There are no people who are in like economic dire straits who are living in this complex or this area. A lot of these are being created around the world right now, in kind of like a new freedom economic zone kind of thing. They're mainly for the rich, and a lot of them are giving these areas like relative autonomy. Even like the idea of their own government is also like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. But these will mainly be, I don't want to use the word, what is it? I don't want to use the word citadel, but it's kind of moving lightly into that direction. But yeah, this is an area of Honduras by the water that is basically its own city and is being given relative autonomy. And within this area that has this level of autonomy, people will be able to choose if they want to use and or accept Bitcoin as a form of payment within this region. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's more of we're seeing the world develop more into crypto, into Bitcoin, becoming a lot more familiar with it. I guess I would love if the country kind of rolled it out, but seeing these small things in that direction also kind of, lends it's starting one place, is going to eventually move to the other ones. But yeah, very interesting news. Like I said, this news was misconstrued quite heavily, as a lot of people believed that Honduras had accepted it as a legal tender. No, it's just this one jurisdiction, but I guess it's better than nothing, especially as time ends up moving on. Yeah, I think that is definitely going to do it for this video. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and supporting. Why do I always forget the last one? I always forget that one. And yeah, I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.